Hello, everyone. This is Athena Jackson, your emotional healing and transformation coach. Today, I am coming to you, helping you to recognize signs of emotional abuse. I want you to know how to spot the signs of emotional abuse. And then in the next segment, we're going to talk about how to deal with emotional abuse. Okay, so this segment is really just going to talk about the signs. Then I want you to hop over in emotional abuse, the second phase of this. Okay, and that way, it's not super long. I'm just going to hop right in. Emotional abuse, a lot of times people don't realize they're in emotionally abusive relationships or an emotional abusive situation, whether it's with your intimate partner, your husband, your wife, a colleague at work, in the community, at your church. Some people don't realize they're in emotionally abusive relationship because it can be settled. It can be very settled. Some people grew up in emotionally abusive relationship. So emotional abuse, as dysfunctional as it is the norm for a lot of people depending on how they grew up. And so spotting the signs of emotional abuse can be challenging. So today, I want you to examine your relationship for the signs that I'm going to give you for emotional abuse. Because what we reveal and we bring to light, we can actually heal. Okay, so we're going to start with, I want you to do this too. Remember that, again, emotional abuse is settled. Okay, so to dismiss it like, no, we're fine. I want you to listen to this because this could be very hard to detect. And if you are having trouble, discerning whether or not you're in an emotionally abusive relationship, I want you to stop and think about how the interactions with you and your partner, your friend, your family member, your co-worker, your church makes you feel. If you feel wounded, confused, depressed, misunderstood, frustrated, anxious, or worthless at any time, you react, you're interacting with these people, chances are high that your relationship is emotionally abusive. So here are some signs that you may be in an emotionally abusive relationship. Now I want you to keep in mind that even if your partner only does a handful of the things I'm about to tell you, and these signs I'm about to show you, you are still in an emotionally abusive relationship. Okay? So I don't want you to fall into the trap of telling yourself, oh, it's not that bad, or minimizing their behavior. Because remember, everyone deserves to be treated with respect and kindness. Okay? So, one of the signs of emotionally abusive relationships is the emotional abuser invalidates you. And some examples of being invalidated or they refuse to validate you are refusing to accept your feelings by trying to define how you should feel. Requiring you to explain yourself over and over again. They dismiss your requests and needs and wants as ridiculous or unmerited. They suggest that your perceptions are wrong or that you cannot be trusted by saying things like you're blowing this out of proportion or you're exaggerating. Okay, they undermine, they dismiss or distort your expectations or your perceptions or your reality. They accuse you of being selfish or needy or even materialistic if you express your wants or needs to them. So they invalidate you. They won't validate you. Another sign is that they display unrealistic expectations. So they make unreasonable demands of you. They expect you to put everything aside for them to meet their needs. They criticize you for not completing tasks according to their standards. So they have these extra high standards. They expect you to share their opinions. So your opinions are null and void. Okay. You're not allowed to have a different opinion. Demanding that you name exact dates and times when discussing things that upset you. And when you can't do this, they dismiss that the event never happened. So, so when did that happen? Last week sometime, but when? I don't know. 6, 5, I don't know. But I remember when you said, no, I want to know when I said this. And they just keep focusing on that as opposed to the situation at hand, as opposed to the problem that you're trying to discuss with them or how you felt when they did that. They'll go off on a tangent on something else, okay, so that they can dismiss it and act like, well, you know what, it wasn't real if you can't say this, tell me the time and place and date and stuff like that. That's emotionally abusive. They use blackmail. Emotional abusers use blackmail. Okay. They try to manipulate and control you by making you feel guilty all the time. They humiliate you in public or in private. They use your fears or your hot buttons to control you, your compassion to control you. They exaggerate your flaws or they point them out in order to deflect attention or avoid from taking responsibility for their poor choices or mistakes. They deny that an event didn't take place. That didn't ever happen, or they'll lie about it. They'll push you away by withholding affection. Actually, they withhold affection to try to keep you pulled into them. It's like punishment. Okay, and you find a lot of that. You find that a lot of this stuff also you'll feel that your narcissist use as well. They humiliate you in public. Okay, I said all those things. They also create chaos. Okay, so they start arguments just for the sake of arguing. They have drastic mood changes. One day they're in one moment. Let me just be honest. They can be real sweet, and then another one they'll have this emotional outburst. One moment they're in love with you, and the next moment you just made them feel horrible. You should feel bad for how you just made them feel. You don't even know what you did. They just got a problem. They nitpick at you. Your hair ain't never right. Your clothes ain't never right. Your work ain't never right. It's always something wrong. That's emotional abuse. They behave so erratically and unpredictably that you feel like you're walking on eggshells all the time. You don't know what to do around them. One moment they're in love. The next minute, one moment you are perfect. The next minute they just wish, they tell you everything you've ever done wrong. They can put you up on the pedestal and snatch it from up under you as quick as they put you up there. Okay, that's just a sign of an emotional abuser. They're entitled. Emotional abusers, um, they try to act superior in a certain way. They treat you like you're inferior. Let me say that. They blame you for their mistakes and shortcomings. They make jokes that make you feel that belittle you. Let me say that. And make you second guess your worth through the jokes they make, or they'll talk down to you. They'll use sarcasm. They're always right. Okay. And they always know what's best. They're smarter than you. Um, Emotionally abusive people attempt to isolate and control you. Okay. They want to control who you see or spend time with. That could mean your friends, your family, your coworker, whoever. They want to control it. They monitor your phone calls and text messages, your emails and social media. They accuse you of cheating and being jealous outside of a relationship. They may even hide your keys and demand to know where you're going all the time. They may even use a GPS on you to track everything that you're doing. They treat you like you're this possession or like you're their property. They criticize or make fun of your friends and coworkers. They use jealousy and envy as signs of love. I love you. That's why I don't want you to be around this person. I don't want nobody else to have you. Stuff like that. They'll say stuff like that to keep you from being around other people, and they coerce you into spending a lot of time with them. A lot of time with them. And so these are just some signs of emotionally abusive um, relationships. So if you find yourself, with a person who's easily insulted, okay? And when they get really upset, they lash out, but it's your fault they lashed out. You want to start thinking about that. Use force during sex. They enjoy throwing you down or holding you against your will during sex. That's emotional abuse. Um, and so they're constantly saying cruel, hurtful things to you. They degrade you. They curse at you. They call you names. That, of course, is emotionally abuse. Okay. They expect you to serve and obey. That's emotional abuse. Emotional abuse. Um, Also, you want to listen for things like, um, my ex girlfriend used to make me so mad I would hit her. Okay. Believe it or not, that's emotional abuse. They're right there trying to instill fear. When people tell you, "I'll kill you. If I find you with somebody else, I'll kill you. If you leave me, I'll kill you." And they may follow that up with, "You know what? I didn't mean that, but I really do love you, and I just I just don't want you to leave me." So that's why I say that. That's emotional abuse. Okay. Um, and so some of those are signs of emotional abuse. Sometimes it can look like they have this genuine concern for you, and they don't. Their genuine concern is for themselves. Emotional abusers are very selfish, but they're also people who've been emotionally abused. Also, if you're a victim of emotional abuse, because your abuser has also been a victim of emotional abuse, you have to be careful that you haven't found those tactics to be beneficial in some of the relationships that you are developing outside of your emotional abusers. Because you will find yourself using some of these tactics to get what you want, even out of your own children and other relationships where people don't deserve it. So when you don't heal it, you become what it is that you don't heal. You become it in maybe another way. So it is important that you heal from emotional abuse. That's why today I was like, you know what? I really want to talk about the signs of emotional abuse, because people don't really realize they're in emotional abusive relationships. They don't realize that that is indeed emotional abuse. So this is why a person always tells me I don't do this right. I thought it was because they had OCD or something. No, it's not because a person has OCD. A lot of times they just do things to make you feel like you are not enough, that you are inadequate, and to keep control over you. If I can continue to make you feel like you're inadequate, and I can continue to make you feel that you're not enough, you won't leave me, or I can keep control over you. Remember, abuse is just a tactic to keep control over its victim. And I will say victim because when you're being abused, you're a victim at the end of the day. I also want to say this too. If you're listening to this and you are a victim of domestic violence, okay, say that this person is emotionally and physically abusing you and you are fearing for your life, I want you to write down this number if you're listening to this. And it's 1-800-799-7233. That is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Okay, it is confidential. They are trained advocates and they can help you. But if you're in a relationship and you're not scared for your life, but your biggest fear is, I don't feel like nobody else would love me, because that's the biggest fear. Because we teach people how to treat us. People treat you how you let them treat you. And if you found yourself letting somebody treat you like this and find yourself in relationships where you see these signs of abuse, it is because somewhere along the line you don't feel like you're worthy of something better. You don't see yourself in a better relationship. Somewhere you may feel like you deserve it. Again, everybody wasn't raised in a perfect home. So if you come from emotional abuse and raised in it, being in an emotionally abusive relationship when you get older, whatever that relationship may be the norm for you. For you, that dysfunction is normal for you. And it is time for you, now that you understanding, like, wait a minute, this isn't right. I didn't even realize that wasn't right. I've been so used to it. Now that it has been revealed, it is time for you to start taking steps to heal it. And so if you hop on over to the next podcast, we will talk about, where I'm talking about what to do to deal with the emotional abuse. So I'm going to give you a few ways on how to deal with the emotional abuse. So I hope that you click into the next podcast so that you can find ways to get yourself out of this emotional abuse or how to stand up to it. Thanks for listening, and you have a great day.